Hey guys, welcome back. Today I want to go over the Gley builds that I've been using for mobbing, farming, and bosses. In this video we will be going over some of the weapon builds and why we have chosen to use it, as well as the mods for her between a bossing build and the mobbing build. We'll go over the weapons that I use for both of those as well. Not too bad, feels pretty easy. So let's go over the build here. This is the one I was using for that Devourer run. The most important thing is massive Sanguification, because what it allows us to do when we are in a frenzied state, we use it and boom, we get 3 of those life orbs. Once we have that, it allows us to use Massacre, which increases the damage of the weapon equipped. It's a really good combination. It allows us to pop this right at the beginning of a boss fight or on command. It does do damage, but that is not what this build is for. I'm trying one out that is focused around it because I think it's a cool skill. But for now, we're focused on Massacre. As you can see, it has negative skill power, which unfortunately comes with the skill cooldown and duration mods that we are adding to this build, which I will be covering in this video, how I decided to land on the mods that I did to help you have a better understanding of how this build works so you can make adjustments according to your playstyle. My build, I feel like I've spent quite a bit when it comes to crystallization catalysts, and I did use an energy activator. But seeing how she is an ultimate and currently one of the best descendants, no regrets, definitely recommend doing it. But anyways, back to the build. So what we're looking at here is I'm using Focus on Dimension, which doesn't really help with the skill power modifier issue that I'm having since it is only Dimension. I use that solely for the skill cooldown. You can replace it with skill power modifier, however, you aren't going to be able to cycle in your increased sensory fast enough to keep the buff up and cycling, which is very important when it comes to the Thunder Cage and mental focus that this build is focused on and built around. Walk a Tightrope is a very important mod in this build because often your HP is going to be below 50%, and that gives your skills 30% fire attack and skill power, which affects Massacre, and another reason why you want that mod, as well as your health down and Massacre up. Here I'm trying to miss shots so we can see the numbers a little bit more clear than what it looks like when you're just spamming on the character like that. But we can see the numbers grow exponentially up to 150 stacks. So on weak point hits with this Thunder Cage build, that brings us to just about 600k. No, 575,000 damage a weak point shot, which is a lot easier to hit on a Colossus. But as you can see, the reason we have chosen the mods that we did, they all provide this skill cooldown, except for Spear and Shield. I just put it in there because extra defense is nice, and we get a little bit of skill power out of no upgrades. So that's how the Sanguine build works. A lot of HP goes a long way with that build. The weapons I use, I've tried with Afterglow. I only have the Final Masterpiece because of my Reactor. The goal here is to have a Thunder Cage mounted Reactor. I don't use Edging Shot, which apparently is a huge problem to people. I tried it out, I don't like it. I am just using a lot of crit hit chance, crit hit damage, firearm up, concentration priority, insight focus, fire rate up. You can see all of this here. I simply used Electric Enhancement because I actually use a Xantic slot on a different build, which I'll put a video up for because, good gracious, you guys, I love my Fiesta build. It is a party and a good time. So here you can see I still have my critical hit rate at 56.5%. The only thing I'm losing out on this build is 5% critical hit chance, which there are ways to make that up. But I'll be covering that in my Thunder Cage video. The main focus is mental focus. We can hold down our sensory skill. Using that, we can get up to 150 stacks of that mod, which is amazing for Thunder Cage with the fire rate. That's the base of the Thunder Cage build and how it works when you are using it for Gley. Let's take a look at the Reactor and the components next. Here is my reactor. I have skill duration up and additional skill attack when attacking Colossus. The most important thing is the skill duration up. I actually want to get one that has skill cooldown on it as well. Then for my external component set, I'm using Annihilation. It's just a no-brainer when it comes to Gley. It does firearm attack increase proportional to the ratio of max HP lost. Typically, we're running this with 50% HP. That's why Walk a Tightrope is such a good mod for this build, so definitely farm for an Annihilation set. I don't have the greatest set, so I ended up settling for a module drop rate increase modifier. I don't really need more mods, but it's always nice to get them. Consumable drop rate increase modifier on the sensor as well. I'm a big fan of that. I should be wrapping up a video about that, but as you can see, I mostly just have drop rate. You want to avoid shield recovery on these since Gley has none, as well as MP modifiers or max MP you don't want. So occasionally, I will use the Afterglow Sword because it's fun. So let me just cut to what kind of damage that does. It's not a replacement by any means of the Thunder Cage or a high damage, high fire rate weapon. I just wanted to show you because I like to have fun when I play the game and I think it's pretty cool. So here. I'll be doing a build video on the Afterglow Sword. This build that I'm actually using is not my primary one. I use Goat. I didn't use it in this video because I was still building it out, but oh my heavens, it is perfect, it's consistent, and it deals just as much damage, even though the DPS says it's half as much. But I digress. Let's look at some numbers. If you've made it this far, you are a legend. I appreciate you. Thanks for sticking around. There is a link to the Discord that we recently made with some friends in the description. Feel free to come by, talk mods, weapons, builds, LFG, whatever. Let's just hang out and have a good time. For this build, we have Predator Instinct as our Transcendent mod if you have it. I've been using HP Collector, but I did want to make something that was closer to 60, so we can take that out. And if you just don't upgrade one of these mods all the way, you'll be sitting pretty. Just make sure you focus on skill duration, skill cooldown for this build. It's super important and it works like a charm. You're going to be firing infinite rockets in no time. So some of the things worth taking note on this build is Focus Dimension has nothing put in it, same with Focus on Non-Attribute. What we are using these for are the cooldown. So you don't necessarily need to level a lot of these mods up like Battle of Stamina. You can have that at its base level, and that's going to help make this build a lot more cost effective. You'll be able to use this build easily like so. These are the mod sockets that I have put into this build. If you do want to get to that level and copy this build exactly, that's awesome. Let's take a look at my organ. I haven't put too much into it. I have put an energy activator into it and I think catalyzed it once. I haven't even maxed out my action and reaction. Toxic enhancement's just on there because I wanted to throw something on there quick, and now that I'm looking at this, I realize I don't have fire rate on here. One of the most important things, but for the most part, you're looking for that firearm attack up. A lot of people use weak point expansion. I didn't have that leveled up. Since I do now, I may as well throw that on. Here's what it will look like if you don't have fire rate on it and the damage. So this is why critical hit isn't too important with this, from my experience, even though I'm hitting a ton of crits right now. I don't usually do that when I'm out in the field. Yep, that's how it works. This one's a lot more simple. You just hit up your Q to Frenzy, use your V to activate your Sensory or Infinite Ammo, and then you just unload on them. So let's see what the difference is when we add fire rate. Yeah, we'll just take off some of this, whatever, who cares, not important. So this way you can see more of what it will look like when you have it built out. Yeah, there we go. That's all there is to it. If you have any questions, drop a comment down below. Definitely like and subscribe. Thanks for sticking around for this whole video. I appreciate it greatly. Find us on Discord. All the songs on this are originals, and I'll be uploading to Spotify soon. But thank you so much for taking the time, my fellow Descenders. You have an awesome day, and good luck on the grind.